This is about doing less could be actually what you need to do in order to have more and be more. And the reason I say this is there are three perspectives I'd like to share with you today. The first perspective is that when it comes to health, I have had a very interesting health journey. I was born super healthy, but along the way, got super stressed, was not taking care of myself, was neglecting my physical health, and I had a lot of hormonal imbalances, and it was just tough for my body. And for many years, I was popping supplements. It was always more this and more that, and I was trying to do more. At some point, I realized that it wasn't about doing more. It was actually about doing less. And so I worked with an expert, with a professional, and identified the foods that were actually hurting my body, that had become toxic for me. And dairy was big on the list. That was a huge one. Wheat was another one, to a less extent, but definitely quite up there. And also, one thing I needed to look at was even alcohol. I didn't drink a lot of alcohol, but I just started noticing that when I did have a little bit, like a sip of champagne, my body just didn't feel good. And none of these things are bad in themselves. It's just that my body was speaking to me and wasn't rather pleased about it. And so when I started taking things out, I stopped all the pill popping. I started taking things out. My health improved. Another really good example is I work with many women who are super high achievers, really busy, and I hear things like, oh, I don't have time for that because I have to do my chores, or I have to clean, or I have to do this, or I have to do that. And sometimes the excuse is, oh, I don't really want to spend my money on cleaning or a cleaner or some sort of support. It could be administrative support for your business. But when you think about it, if money is an issue in any way, then you hiring that help, that person who will support you, is actually the smartest thing to do in order to be able to focus on showing up and enrolling and even serving your customers. Because except cleaning and house chores is your zone of genius, and also something that you really, really enjoy, then it's something you should, with gratitude and joy, delegate to someone else who probably is much better at it than you, will do it much quicker than you, and will be happy to receive that income as you earn more as a result. And even if you're not earning more, what would it look like if instead of doing those chores, instead of doing those administrative tasks, you're able to spend more quality time with your husband, or with your partner, or with your parents, or with your children, or best of all, with yourself? What would that look like? It's very important, because sometimes we're saving money, but money to do what? How about your life essence? How about your relationships? How about your health? Well, that's another instance where doing less of certain things allows you create more time, more space, more energy, more bandwidth to focus on the things that are truly important. And the other example I have is basically your space. I once watched an episode of this series called Sort Your Life Out in 7 Days. And I could not believe my eyes. Basically, some people get chosen, some experts go into their homes, and they take every single item out of that home, and they lay it out in a warehouse, which is thousands of square feet big, and it's incredible. When the families see what their stuff looks like, these are houses that are very cluttered, by the way, they're often shocked. The mission is to sort out everything and choose 50% or less. Less than 50% is the ideal of those things. Once that is done, everything is taken back into the house. And what was so incredible was that when people let go of the clutter, this clutter was beginning to actually become a problem, because they couldn't move properly in their houses. It was dusty, sometimes dirty, and they couldn't find anything, just so then sucking up time and energy, creating frustration. When they let go of the clutter and focus on the things they truly loved, were going to use, it was incredible how beautiful these homes could be. Just incredible. And not only were they beautiful, they became functional spaces, spaces where people could meet together and spend time without being stressed by the sheer volume of everything that, surrounded them. And it's the same thing in your life. The life by design is a life where there is space, where there is ease, where there is openness, where you can see things and appreciate them. If everything is so jam-packed, then you can't really see or appreciate anything. This is why my invitation to you is to really take your to-do list, all of those things that up until now you've been telling yourself, oh, I have to do this. And look at that list, and I want you to cut it in half. Just like the house with the clutter, I want you to cut that list in half. And here is a question I want you to ask. Yes, something may get to be done. It may be something that is required. But the question is this my zone of genius? Ask yourself that. And by letting go of personally doing this task, will I be able to create more abundance, more time for myself, more time to focus on things I truly am a genius at, more time to rest, more time to connect with friends and loved ones, and to circulate money to someone who truly will do that job wonderfully. That's their zone of genius, and everyone is happy. So the things I've told you may seem extremely simple, but these are the fundamentals when it comes to truly stepping into relaxing and opening up and beginning to choose what you give your life force energy to, as opposed to simply accepting everything. Clutter is not only a question of physical elements. You could have a cluttered life because you're doing so many things that don't make you feel good, that make you feel overwhelmed. So many things that you don't enjoy, so many things that you can't even remember what you did because there were so many little tidbits. And so my invitation is to really step into less is more. Sit down, write down all the things you've been telling yourself, I must do these things, and shift. First of all, is it something that really truly needs to be done? If not, then just strike it off the list. The other thing is, if it gets to be done, then does it have to be used at your zone of genius? And if it's not your zone of genius, then make a plan to delegate. If things like I don't have enough money or et cetera, are coming up, then ask yourself, how can I have more? What is more important to me? This extra money that I'm saving, or truly living a life that I celebrate? And I'm going to give you a tip here. When you start clearing your life at a physical space, mental space, emotional space, you start becoming magnetic for opportunities, because you're no longer bogged down by all the heaviness and the weight, which may even be subconscious. You may not realize it. I can't wait to hear what has come up for you. However, no matter what, look at that list of things that you've been having to do and cut it in half and see what happens by you stepping into that empowered mode of I choose to do or not to do. Whatever the case, it's all about being. Love and light.